Do we have audio? Yes. Are we ready to go? Okay. Dave was just talking about fun. And in reality, this morning, I was with my German instructor, Hoffman, who's right here. My English language skills are poor enough, German is nil, but he helps us in Germany. But we have to learn to speak a language that's not technical. I had a client a long time ago who was a Ferrari dealer. He had a fun job, I think. But I say, talking to him, I'm saying, how do you sell this thing? It overheats in traffic. It breaks down, it costs $20,000 to fix. It leaks, it makes a mess. How do you sell this? He goes, come. Takes me out, 12-cylinder, carbureted car, sit down. Little old man, very quiet, very kind, gets behind the wheel, turns into a raging animal, goes flying around corners sideways, power shifts, snaps it back and forth, pulls back to the showroom, skids it around. He goes, that's how we sell this. It's fun. And he goes, what do you do? Oh, can I drive that to my house? I'll show you what I do. You sit down. I sit him down in the theater, we press a button, and he goes, I'll take it. No question. He goes, but we have a problem. You look at a Ferrari, you know it's cool. You're predisposed to buy it to begin with. No one knows how good we are. We have a hidden industry. And not only a hidden industry, we have an industry with a reputation that our stuff doesn't work, the connections don't work, the remote control doesn't work, and we'll disappear and make a mess. But I'll tell you what we do. He sits down in my theater and he goes, this is cool. I had no idea we could do this. Now, this morning, Hawk and I had a great morning. We start this morning with a demo with one of my friends who puts together a theater. We sat there, all I could say, he said, what do you think? I said, this was fun. Now, you put a high demographic person in front of a theater like that, they have no idea it exists. They are video virgins. They don't know what good is. You show them good and they buy it. Plain and simple. Or they want to buy it. And so the question, what's in the pocket? Now, we have to replicate this in many rooms. And my Ferrari dealer goes, but I don't have a theater like this. I just have a big room on the ocean with lots of windows. What can I do? I said, same thing. No problem. He goes, you can do that in a big room. Yes, I do it all day long. So I take it to my den. And I'll give you two problems in my life that I had to solve technically. Both serious problems. One, a life-threatening problem. The first, I have a very typical Florida backyard with a swimming pool, and I have kids. So the kids go in the pool, and you have to watch them to make sure they don't drown each other. And I don't want to watch the children, I want to watch a game with my friends, and drink a bunch of wine, and have a good time. And I want to watch the kids make sure they're not dead. They have to be swimming, floating at the top, not down at the bottom. So I need to have the screen big, bright, colorful, and there's sunlight coming in through the room. You got it? So this is not a typical room. And if I have the screen bright enough where I can watch the game and the kids at the same time, and if I use that screen at night, it will be so bright it will be a sharp stick in my eye. So this is a dual-purpose room. Once the sun goes down, technically, who knows a term called a foot lambert? Anybody heard of that? It's like horsepower in cars. The average TV will put out 30, 40 foot lamberts. A movie theater is 14. To make it work in the sunlight, I need 150. So 10 times the movie theater screen, which will blind you at night. So I have to do some things there, but that's fun. Let's go to application number 2, the life-threatening one, a dedicated home theater. I watch movies there. It's fun. I also have my wife with her friends who are tennis players come over and they want to watch tennis. My job is twofold. Number 1, turn on the theater because they can just talk and watch the game. 2, get out of the way when they're watching because I don't want to hear what they want to say about the tennis players' bodies and what they're going to think about the doing. The girls are worse than the guys. So my job is twofold. Turn it on and pour wine. These bitchy girls, after a couple of glasses, they're much more tolerable. A couple of glasses of wine is a social lubricant. But what's the problem? If the theater is pitch black and I'm pouring wine and I spill 1 drop of wine on one of those shirts that those girls are wearing, my life is over. So I need some light in the room. Plus, they want to talk to each other. They always say, turn some light on. We're talking to each other. So now I have a dedicated theater with some light on in the room. It's a sports mode. It's how we watch things when we want to talk to each other. So we have to change some certain things. Now, press another button, watch a movie, lights all go out, it's a dedicated theater. You need to make video work and audio work in every room and make it fun no matter what the lighting is and what the conditions are. Because you don't build a house for the customer. You build the audio video system for the room. To do do that, you have to know the tech. So let's get into some of the tech. The tech can be fun. Okay. Gamma. I love this word. It's one of my favorite parts of the video industry. We put the term gamma. By the way, how many of your customers understand gamma? Your customers. Okay, can you explain gamma to your customer in 30 seconds or less? You will at the end of this. You need to understand this. We take a word like gamma that no one understands, we put it in the menu of 325 million TVs for the consumers every year, and we sell it to them, and it says gamma. What does it mean to them? It means they should press the exit button, get the menu off screen, because they don't understand it. You, on the other hand, have to understand it. Now, what's been happening with gamma, it's even trickier. We do think that the engineers who build our TV systems feel secure in the job when we know nothing about what they do. So the term gamma was enough to mystify people for 50, 60 years. No one knew what it was. What's the problem with the engineering circles? CD starts teaching courses about gamma. My friends teach courses about gamma. Manufacturers teaching courses. Some people are starting to have a clue about gamma. We think 2% of the market has a clue. CD dealers, Infocom, high-end video wall guys. 2% understanding, that scares the engineers. Maybe their jobs aren't so secure. So how do we confuse as many people for as many decades as possible? We change the name. Let's call it EOTF, electro-optical transfer function. That'll do it, right? But that might get someone to look up the words and see what's going on, so we'll have another one. OETF, switch the letters around, optical electrical transfer function. Now we've got everyone confused all over again, so no one can use their toys. So let's demystify that in 20 minutes or less. So what we're going to try and do here, number one, what the hell is it? What do we do with this thing? Two, the names, why are the names there? Can you explain it in 30 seconds to your client? You need to. You need to tell him you know something he doesn't. Otherwise, what does he need you for? He can go to the internet, go to the information to begin with. Now, why do we have to have it? And we do. And you guys are the problem. Every one of you, the same problem to begin with. And you got this button with 5 choices, sometimes 10. How do you pick the right one for the right room, which is really your job? There's 5 choices. Which one's right for that application? Now, here's the techie thing. This could be a test pattern with stripes, or it could be a dark scene movie that has bright scenes too. You've seen movies like that? It's dark scenes and bright scenes. If I change the setting, it's called gamma, the dark sections here will look either brighter or darker. So if I'm watching the movie that's dark, in some scenes, the dark scenes will look darker if you move the button one way, or the dark scenes will look brighter. You're actually changing how the dark scenes look in a movie. Now guess what? In my home theater, when I'm watching it dedicated, I want my dark scenes dark. When I turn on the lights to watch tennis, the dark scenes have to get brighter. Go out into the family room by the swimming pool, those dark scenes can't be dark or I can't see them. Now, we do work with some of the gaming companies. Any of you know a game called Halo? You know, if you have the shadow detail in Halo set wrong, you're going to die. There are things in the shadows that will kill you. So in Halo, we built in a little slider for brightness. When you play the game, it tells you, should not be seen, should barely be seen. And you press the button until the barely seen is seen. And not, so now you're not going to die. It's very important in Halo not to die. Okay, and if you can't see things in the shadow, boom, you're dead. It comes out of nowhere. You can't have that. Now, what does that really mean? EOTF. How does a TV work? TV is a simple machine. You plug it into the wall, you get power, out comes light. Got it? By the way, what's a camera? Also a simple machine. You point it at something, press the button, light comes in, and you get a signal. So we use TV cameras to make TV programs. Light comes in, signal goes out. TV, signal goes in, light goes out. Do they sort of match each other? Simple. Now, normally you should have enough light going in to make a signal on a camera, and a TV, enough signal going in, enough light goes out. Should be even Steven. One part in, one part out, but it can't be. We have a problem with that to begin with. The problem is, you pesky humans. If I send you twice as much light, you don't see twice as much light. You see something other than twice as much light. You're not straight. You're curvy, non-linear. So we do not see equally. So why are we stuck with gamma? Because we are not PCs. We are not silicon. We are carbon-based life forms with all the problems with the carbon-based life forms. Our eyes are strange. We see funny. If you want to send us twice as much light, we will see only 28%. difference, not 50% difference. So we have to figure out how to make things work. How did we do this? Well, TV's renaissance was in 1930s. How many transistor technologies did we have in 1930s? How many silicon chips? What were the technologies we had? Vacuum tubes, CRTs. Is the CRT digital or analog? You sir, are you digital or analog? I hope so. If you're actually digital, I don't want to be alone with you yet. Okay, we're not ready for digital people, but these analog tubes kind of work like people. The analog camera, the analog TV, they worked. It was amazing. Very much like us. These things work. You put in twice as much light, something else came out. You put in 50%, only 28% comes out. And guess what? People and tubes work together. How about tubes and audio? Do any of the musicians still listen to tube amplifiers when they play a guitar? If you polled the top 100 guitar players on the planet, how many of them listen to tubes? All of them, because they like that distorted musical sound. It works for the ears, it works for the eyes. We have to emulate that. Now, take a TV tube, camera, put in a TV tube, TV, everything looks right to our eye. Now, what happened when we started making plasma display panels, LCDs, digital light processing engines? We had to make them behave like a tube. So we added distortion to them, creating the stupidest term in the history of television. We took a perfect machine that was completely linear, we made it wrong, and we called it correction. So what happens if you correct something that's correct? You break it. So gamma should be called distortion. It's making it behave like a tube. Now, this is slides, my friends, in Belgium, from Baku. Okay? The pink line up here is the camera. That has a curve that goes OETF. So the whole reason of this lecture, don't be paralyzed by these names. Optoelectrical transfer functions a camera that behaves like a tube. The one below it, the blue line, by the way, this is 1930s technology. This is a TV that behaves like your straight line, linear system. So the whole TV system is based on tubes that work just fine. That's a standard for a tube, how it's supposed to be. Where do we get in trouble? Well, number one, people don't want TVs in dark rooms like movie makers. Number two, way back when, making the first digital cinema movies, we had digital projectors. So we took work, this was a famous California production, won't get into who did it and what, but they may get some cues from what's going on there. But my guy is calibrating a projector that's digital, and the colorist who makes the movie, he has a perfect movie, and we have to show it to the money so we can get it produced and get it done. So he has to take his hard drive with the digital thing out of his little cubicle with his tube, CRT, plug it into a digital projector. And my guy is in charge of tuning the projector to what we knew was the standard for gamma. It was 2.2. That was the number. Now, as we go across that curve, we rise, we run. So it's a rise and run curve technically, but things get brighter with more signal. So out comes this guy with his movie to show to the money. My guy spends 2 days calibrating the projector. He plugs in his drive, looks at this and goes, "That's not my movie. No, I cannot show it." My guy goes, "It's perfect 2.2. He goes, "I don't care what you say, it's not my movie. That stinks. Get this projector out of here." Now, the money's coming in the next day. Who gets a phone call? Me. This idiot says the projector's wrong. This is not an idiot. He's the colorist. He made the movie. It's his movie. If he says it's not his movie, it's not his movie. He's not blind. He gets paid to see. But he's a pain in my... Yeah, I know he's a pain. Go measure his CRT. But next thing, 5 minutes later, I get a phone call from the colorist. "You're not touching my monitor." "We're not going to touch it, sir. We're going to put a meter near it. We're going to measure it. Because your monitor's correct, the projector's wrong." He goes, "Finally, you're not an idiot. Of course the projector's wrong. But your monitor's correct, right?" He goes, "My monitor's perfect. So how about we make the projector look like your monitor?" He goes, "Then it'll be right." "Oh, we agree. Good. So let's measure your monitor." So we measure it. It's not 2.2. It's 2.37. I don't tell them the numbers. I say, "We're going to, by the end of the day, make your movie look on the projector the way it looks on your monitor, and then you're going to be happy," right? He goes, "That's what the projector is supposed to do." So we look at this, and this happens in France, this happens in England, at Pinewood, and other places where we make movies. So we found problems that were all over the map. Now we got chaos in the world, because the specification that was on every box for the broadcast world for 20 years was wrong. Okay, so we're lost. What happens here? So we find it's lost. Geneva, 2008. You people here should know the EBU. Does that ring a bell? European Broadcast Union. Are these the authoritative answers on what to do? They know what they're doing, right? Let's see what the EBU says 2008. They're sitting here, here's a nice paper out of Geneva. It's available, public domain, you look at it. And here are the authoritative people of the world speaking. They say, let's see, we think maybe that this might be appropriate if it's around 235. We believe it's appropriate, so they don't know either. Try 235, maybe that's going to be okay. We don't know. Okay, let's zoom forward 2010. Same place, Geneva, EBU, sitting here. Now, by this point, we recommend 235. A step closer to something where we know what we're doing. Okay, let's zoom forward 2011, the ITU, the big guys. You familiar with ITU? It's a simple organization, 193 countries agree on something, which is miraculous to begin with. But we agree on how to make movies. Why? You got to make something in Bollywood, play it in Hollywood. You make a production in a small place in Sweden, like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and the whole world watches it, and they become affluent in Sweden, they start making movies. So their movie has to work. So the ITU is about making international communication work. So I can watch in my theater something that comes from any studio on the planet. That works out like so. Not the big problem. Now, ITU looks at a couple of things and says, well, tubes, bye. No more CRTs, we got flat panels, and they're silicon based, so maybe we should forget the stupid things that we tried to do with tubes, finally, and make it behave in a real world fashion that we can have compliance with tubes to make it work from time to time. So a higher gamma with 2.4, think of that little stripes and charts. The dark parts get darker, the bright part gets brighter. Higher contrast, by the way, good thing, higher contrast. So the future's going to have higher contrast, which is what we're doing in DCI. DCI is 2.6, even higher contrast. What do we know about DCI that we don't know about a home? Well, we know two things. Number one, the room's going to be dark. Number two, the lamp and the projector is going to be big. So we're going to have a big lamp in a dark room. What are we going to get? Contrast. So that's going to work. Will that be all your homes? No. Might be your home theaters. So we have a clue. Now, here's the actual spec. You don't need to know the tech. All you need to know is if you have a dedicated room where you control the light, and you look in the menu of at least 2 brands of TVs being shipped within the next 2 months, you will see a funny thing with this crazy letters up here. BT.1886. What does that mean? That's the spec. So if I actually put that in the TV menu now, and you guys look at it, you go, I know what that is. That's for a studio like dark room. So Panasonic and LG will have it on the TVs very shortly. Hopefully the rest will all follow, because we talk to most manufacturers and we're simply saying, guys, put these funny numbers in. Why? Because that's how the movies are made. Why? Because some people are smart in this business and put it in there, they'll sell your TVs. If they put it in a dark room, they'll press the button, get it close to that new spec from the ITU. And I was right here in this town a few months back at a manufacturers conference. We announced the first one in the world to be done, and now we can tune it. So this is revolutionary. After 80 years, we actually know what the hell we're doing if the room is dark. Got it? See that name? BT.1886, it means something. 193 countries finally agreed on doing this to begin with. Now, why don't we just have a gamma in a TV, or a EOTF? What do you guys do to TVs that studios don't do? Maybe you put it outside with a swimming pool, like the maniac in Florida who wants to see the kids in the pool and the picture at the same time. Now I am not compliant with the most important part of making the picture work, and that's darkening the viewing room, making the room look like Spielberg's room, a studio. Now some of you have rooms like that. 2%. The rest of us have living rooms with some lights on, bedrooms with some lights on. The other reasons we have gamma options are for you to be able to put a TV in a room that has X amount of light, and you will press Y button for gamma. And if you have metrics and meters, you can actually measure exactly what the number is. Let's assume you don't have a meter. Put up a dark movie, keep pressing the button. Where does a dark movie in the dark scenes look brighter? If it looks brighter, bingo, that's a bright room scene. If it gets darker, that's a dark room scene. So even without a meter, with a dark movie with bright scenes, you can figure out which slide on the gamma to put it in a bright room or a dark room. You want to get technical, you need some instrumentation, some training, all the rest of that stuff. There are plenty of people to help you with that, but you have buttons in 325 million TV sets a year. You can now use all of them. Bright room, different. Now, on the screen, do you guys see a black X over the guy's shoulder? No. Does anyone here own a Windows computer? This scene is in Windows. If you go to the search on Windows and you go Calibrate Display Color, this is a test tool in Windows that's free. It costs $15 million for us to produce. It's actually my tool. And there's a black X there. If you see the black X, it's wrong. If you don't see the difference between a shirt and jacket, do you even see a shirt or a jacket? Neither, because this room is crap. It's too bright for this picture. I'd have to change the gamma and make it work. So this is a simple tool. I can make this work in this room by changing the gamma of the projector. You'd see a black X if I went too far, and you'd see a difference in jacket and background if it was just right. Now, home theaters. How many of you guys do home theaters? Raise your hand. Okay, a few. You make dark rooms? Yes. You make dark rooms, you simply go to bt.h86. Simple solution, no judgment calls at all. We finally, after 8 years, know what we're doing. You either find bt.h86 in menu, or you find something close to it, or you pick the darkest dark areas. That's your home theater setting on most TV sets. Now, throw some light into the room. Unfortunately, now you've got to use your head. And this is going to be 90% of your installs. But nighttime and daytime, you may have different settings. That's what the gamma adjustments are for. You have to know what you're doing with them, then you keep the customer. Let's say you have an OLED. Who knows what an OLED is? Who's seen an OLED? Who wants an OLED? Got one. Not a real one, it's not production, but I gotta tell you, when you see it in 4K, with content in 4K that's decent, you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, that's fun. And you're gonna go, I want that. And then your job is to look in your pocket. Is it gonna be expensive? I hope so, because I want to make some bloody money with these things. The 77-inch I'm looking at is spectacular. And by the way, do you want a curved TV or not a curved TV? Who wants curved? Raise your hand. Gotta be somebody. Anybody? Okay, who wants flat? Good. The TV I have, you press a button that goes flat, and press another button that curves. Because somebody out in the marketplace, other than us, wants a curved TV set. And actually, I don't mind a curved TV set as long as I have the middle chair. And if I'm a gamer, I want a TV to curve big time. I want peripheral vision. But for my watching with my kids, my wife, I'll make it flat. So we can do that with the button. And by the way, for most of my customers, when you press a button and something moves, that is fun. It could be anything coming out of a room. You press a button and the TV curves, not curves, I am the dude. I've shown this to 100 friends so far. I don't even have to play anything. Just press the button, it goes, that's cool. I want that. What's it cost? You don't want to know. If you want it, you want it. Right? Is it going to be expensive? Yes, it's really cool. Is everything cool expensive? Yeah, okay. So we make some cool stuff that's expensive. Good. It's expensive with a 40-point margin. I like this product already. This is good. Now, OLEDs have an OLED light. LCDs have a backlight. To get to that massive amount of light I need in my swimming pool, den room, I need all the light the TV can put out, and I crank up the backlight, I change the gamma, and by the way, do these TVs now have settings where the colors become too colorful? Yeah, it's called gamut. In a really bright room, does the light from the room wash out the colors? Shake your head. Yes. So if I have loss of light from the TV, where the colors are washed out, how about I start with more color to begin with in a bright room? Learn how to change the gamut to something that's wrong. Too many colors, and then the washout of the light in the room will get you something resembling the right amount of colors. So in my 165-foot levered TV set, the color is really wrong, and with the lights coming in, it looks really, really good. The sum total of all this is, I invite my friends over, we watch a game, open a bottle of wine, we're drinking in the sunlight. And the kids are outside the pool, and we're in the air conditioning. I live in Florida. They've talked about 120 degrees. That's because they were in a stupid part of Florida. We're near the ocean, you get a cool breeze, but it's still hot. You don't want to be out there all day long. So we can make these things work. How about a projector? You change the lamp, bring the lamp light up. That works quite a bit. Okay, so all these things are tools for you to use to let them have fun in all the rooms you can put a TV set in. We were in the LED hall looking at the outdoor signs. I don't want an outdoor sign, but I've got a client who owns an internet company who wants a 35-foot picture so he can sit there in the pool, drink a beer, and I said, what's the real reason you want a 35-foot picture there in the pool? He goes, I want my neighbor to eat his heart out. I want him to see this 35-foot picture. Can you make it? I said, I'm going to ISE, I'll find you something that's not bad for an outdoor sign. I got an outdoor sign sold because he wants his neighbor to see it. I said, it's going to be kind of bright at night. He goes, who goes to the pool at night? It's daytime, not a problem. So, in your numbers, if you see numbers in the TV sets, you see something low, maybe 1.8 to 2, that's a bright room, really bright room. What if the room only has a couple of lights? incandescent lights. At that point, maybe you're going to go 2.2 to 235. Home theater, studio light, that's finally easy. We know what we're doing. Now, the tools to measure. Here's a nice simple computer tool. It requires a meter that reads light and something that feeds signal in called the generator. If you measure it, it'll measure 10 steps at a time. 10% of the picture, 20%, and that yellow line there's your target. If you measure it, zip, flat line is correct. Curvy line is wrong. What do you do with a curvy line? You bloody fix it. And there's some TVs that let you change the settings 10 steps at a time. There's 2 on the market now, there are going to be 100 of them coming because it's a very competitive business. So measuring it's not so hard. So your tech tips. Okay. Do you ever put the source that's going to feed the TV through another box before it gets to the TV? Like maybe an audio video receiver, does that happen? This is kind of tragic, and it came to me from a nice kid who's really clever. He put the signal through an audio video receiver after he calibrated the TV set. And guess what? Are the components where an HDMI signal goes through it supposed to preserve the integrity of the HDMI signal? Yes. Do they all preserve the integrity of the signal? That's your job to know. And buy the one. So here's the same straight line. And by the way, this is not an expensive TV set. You see the line's pretty close? It's not perfect, but this is an €800 TV set. Not expensive. Now this is testing the TV. How about we put the signal into the AVR and then look at what happened? How about this one? Is that different? The signal path broke the picture. It made it look brighter. And that was done on purpose. So they make the picture look brighter. You plug it in, you go, hey, look at this, it looks brighter. You kill the picture. If you're watching a movie with snow, you're watching hockey, all the light's going to be all washed out. It's a disaster. So a summary, 30-second answer. Let's go back. What's 30-second answer? What's gamma for? It's a button on your TV set that lets me put your TV in any room you want. Is that less than 30 seconds? Give me a bright room, I'll press it this way. Give me a dark room, I'll press it that way. I know what I'm doing. Give me your money. By the way, there's a simple equation. Our whole business is based upon one simple thing. I go into your house, I make you happy, I leave it a check. And if your friends come over and go, that's fun, I get more checks. Not a complicated business plan. Go in, make nice things happen, come out with a check. Relatively simple. The gamma options let you work in different rooms. The light output, the gamut. You got lots of tools at your disposal to make fun happen in any kind of room. And right now, I will tell you, I'm in this business a long time. Far from young. This is the most fun I've had in years because I rock. I can go into any room with any amount of light, get a projector and a screen combination, give me a bright projector with a screen that enhances contrast ratio. I can put a 25-foot wide picture in a room with sunlight coming in, make it work. Other than that, thanks, appreciate it. Hopefully made something woefully complex a little bit simpler. Thank you all.